Hey, Premium members, it's Dan. How is it going on this weekend of October 31st, 2008? Hope your recruiting is going well. October 31st, of course, Halloween. If you've got kids, this might bring back some memories for you, even if you don't. The Halloween costume. Mine were actually a little cheesier than this. I had the really bad plastic mask with the little rubber band in the back. You come back home all sweaty and everything. This is actually not too bad of a Halloween costume. So what does all this have to do with questions? Because, of course, we're going through our Great Power Question series. Well, this family actually put some effort into their Halloween costume. Mine, maybe not. And so that's the same way it is with you in questions. Some coaches put a lot of effort and a lot of creativity into the questions that they ask, and some coaches don't. And the ones that don't have good power questions. Well, whether you have good power questions or so-so power questions, we want to give you great power questions. We're continuing with our series. We did the first 4 elements, pieces of a great power question last week. We're going to continue on this week in our series so that all of you know how to develop and have great power questions to ask your athletes. So, first thing for today that I want to ask you, is your question connecting them with their past? What do I mean by that? Well, when you ask a question of an athlete, what you should be doing is bringing up a memory in their mind that they can relate to. This is a tough one because you have to know something about your athlete that you're interviewing. You have to understand where they've been, what's going to matter to them, how they're going to be making their decision. As I've said before, when I do an on-campus workshop, you have some coaches approach the athlete that lives in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in the city with their single mom the same way that they would approach an athlete in the suburbs as a 5-bedroom house and a 4-car garage. Those two athletes are going to make their decisions in a very different way. And you have to understand their background, understand their past and where they're coming from so that you ask the right question, that you develop a way to connect with them and their experience and their motivation. And you have to understand why they're going to make a decision that they're going to make, what's important to them. You do that through developing a great power question that connects them with their past. So something they can relate to, something that they understand and know. That's the key to developing that part of your power question. Are you doing that? Ask yourself. Look at the questions that you have asked your prospects leading up to today, and have you ever connected them with their past in a way that makes them connect with you? Second thing, coach, is does your question cause them to respond in a unique way? Well, kind of depends on if you're asking them a question in a unique way. Coach, very simply, does your question cause them to stop and think, kind of like what we were talking about last week, and answer you in a way that they haven't answered any other coach before? Are you asking them in a unique way so that they answer in a unique way? You have to couch your question and phrase it differently. You can ask the same question 4 or 5 different ways if you change up the wording. So are you doing that? Are you making sure that your questions are asked in a unique way so that they answer uniquely? Here's why it's so important, coach, for them to answer in a unique way. Because first of all, it gives you information that no other coach is getting. Second of all, if they're answering you in a unique way, that means they're engaged with you. And even if you aren't top of their list right now, you're going to become higher on their list because you were the coach that asked them a great question and made them think and made them remember you by that question. That's why that type of a question is so very important. Next question I have for you in developing your great power questions. Is your question giving you a commitment answer? Okay? And I want to stop and explain this because there's 3 parts of this that I think apply. The first thing that I want to explain to you is when you're asking a question that gives you a commitment answer, you're really asking them a question that starts to give you an indication that they're interested in signing with your school. Here's what that looks like. You want to ask a question that gives you an indication that they are going to be closer to signing with you, or at least closer in making up their final decision. It's an answer in their question to your question that actually gives you some hints that they're starting to connect with you, that they're starting to like the idea about signing or committing to you and your school. Here's a little bit more of what that looks like. You can ask some good commitment lead-in questions. And those would include things like, is isn't this, shouldn't you? I'll give you a quick example. Let's take this one, shouldn't you? Shouldn't you be looking at a school that cares about you academically as well as athletically, like ours will? Or maybe this one up top, doesn't it? You could ask, doesn't it make sense to look at all your options and come visit our campus in addition to the other 3 that you've already committed to, just to make sure that you're making a smart decision? If you get a positive response to that, then you know that you've connected to them. And coach, that's what you want in these questions. You want to make sure that you are asking a question that gets them to think and commit. One little step at a time. One little step at a time. Kind of like bungee jumping. You're up on that platform, you're not sure if you want to jump. And little by little, you have to lean over a little bit until finally you're committed. Well, that's a lot like these questions. You want to get them to lean and lean and lean a little bit farther to where their whole momentum now is carrying them forward and they have committed in their mind to you. And the questions that you ask, these power questions that we're going through, are a great way to do that. They're a great way to get that athlete leaning so far that they can't stop the momentum and they will sign with you. We're not done yet. Coming up next week, the final segment of developing our 11 pieces to great power questions exclusively for you as a premium member. I'm Dan Tudor. See you next week. Hope your week is great and talk to you soon.